questions in the end. We'll now move to the next speaker, and that is Dr. Sofra, and she will speak on the cellular part, the blind spot in body sculpting that undermines health toxicity and inflammation. Over to you, Dr. Sofra. You're the ideal person on the stage for this session.
Thank you for inviting me, and we're going to be talking about the problem with visceral fat and why it's the black spot in body sculpting. I have no conflicts of interest, and this is a kind of a cartoon diagram, really. Skeletal muscle, you can see the visceral fat in green. Actually, the visceral fat invades both the muscle and the vital organs, which is why it's so dangerous. Now, there's different fat cell types. The brown cell is the what metabolizes. You see, all the mitochondria are in the brown cell, and the least mitochondria are in the white fat cells, and that is what the visceral fat consists of. So it doesn't metabolize, it just sits there. And that's why exercise is so difficult to remove it, or it cannot be removed with anything else. Now you may say, well, I'm skinny, you can still have visceral fat even though you are not overweight. The problem, the most important problem with visceral fat is that it's like a toxic waste dump. It's like a garbage, pretty much. And this is all the toxic substances in visceral fat. I'm not going to go through it more thoroughly. All of this information has been based on about 200 articles that every video I have done. Now, visceral fat and cardiovascular toxicity, you can see how the heart rate increases, how the systolic and diastolic rate, the heart becomes toxic. Why? Because the fat invades the vital organs. And there is a lot more problems than that. It's the low-grade inflammation that creates all kinds of diseases, and that is involved with a hyperinsulinemia and estrogens. And the estrogens, the growth factors, are basically interact with each other to create the IGF signaling that is incorrect and creates the cancer. And cancer is basically disturbed communications. Now, it's not the exercise that gets you slender and fit. It's the hormonal balance. And that's something that I would like to kind of emphasize today, because that's what I would like to kind of give you. You can see you can have the hormonal belly that we call. You can have the cortisol increase that is going to increase, not just, it's going to increase your weight, not only your hunger, but also your weight. So that's the difficulty with lipolysis, is that results will rebound if your hormones are imbalanced. And then we have the leptin problem. Leptin is an anorexogenic hormone. It basically stops you from eating, but there is a leptin resistance, so you can have too much leptin in the system, but not a signal of the leptin. So the leptin is there, but it has lost the signal. It's using high sensitivity, and you have very good regulation and not hunger, but you have a low sensitivity and you're starving. So the leptin must be within the normal range. You can have hypolipidemia, that means you're gonna starve, you're gonna be starving and you're gonna put on weight, or you're gonna have hyperlipidemia, which happens with diabetes. That means they have too much leptin in their system, but no signal. There is no communication. And again, it brings us back to the same thing. It's the communication between the hormones, it's the hormonal balance that keeps you healthy and keeps you slim and fit. Again, the insulin is a problem. Too little insulin, again, you're gonna have the weight gain, you're gonna have fatigue and weakness, and even seizures and coma and death. And the same thing with hyperinsulinemia. Too much insulin, but no signal. So it's there, but it's useless. And visceral fat has been associated with less adiponectin. That means decreased fatty acid oxidation and increased glucose synthesis. So you have more glucose, so you become more prone to diabetes. and higher CRP, which is inflammation. So visceral fat is basically inflammation. It has macrophages and T cells. You can see how everything is increased. Inflammatory kinases, interleukin, that's the interleukins are all the inflammatory agents. And visceral fat is intestinal inflammation. So as you can see, look at all the M2 macrophages that is associated with cancer and how much there are in the creeping fat. So it's the creeping fat that is associated with the visceral fat that creates the illness and the disease. So the problem with lasers and lipolysis is that they don't reach visceral fat. You cannot, because it has invaded the vital organs, and you cannot basically create lipolysis there because you're going to damage the vital organs. There are some studies that are associated low-level laser and exercise that they have found some visceral fat reduction. However, a follow-up study by the same investigators did not replicate the results. So there is no external validity. But we're still looking for more studies of that. The other problem with lipolysis basically is that it cannot control appetite because people that are overweight, they have a hippocampal subnetwork problem. Is there dysregulation in that area of the brain? So that cannot get fixed. And of course, you can have, we looked at different treatment groups, group 1 and group 2, and you look how the leptin is increased in the is that they have too much leptin but no signal. The glucose, of course, is increased. Insulin, same thing. And then the adiponectins, the apolipoproteins are also dysregulated. So the A1 is going to increase the cholesterol, and the apoliponectin B is going to increase again the cholesterol. Now the problem when you don't control appetite, people are going to put the weight back. And what they tell you is that if you don't put on weight, your results after lipolysis are going to last. But if you're hungry, you're going to put on weight. And then you're going to put on weight in a different part of the body. This is an example of a lady that we did with a different technology, before and after, just one treatment. But you can see immediately we would sort of start shaping the body. And you cannot decrease insulin resistance with lipolysis. You cannot balance the leptin. And then you have another very, very important effect, and it's like a memory effect. You take the fat out. You say, I want to get rid of the fat. Okay, you take it out, but then what? You don't change the functions of the body, and that is the most important thing that has to change for the results to not rebound. And the other very interesting thing is a lipolytic effect, or lipolysis, increases the expression of inflammatory genes. And when that happens, the inflammation will decrease the effects of the lipolytic effect. So you have this vicious circle. But instead of talking about visceral fat, let's talk about fatty liver. And everybody over 45 will have fatty liver. And it's about 25.2% of the population, and does lower the life expectancy. We looked at 95 articles with exercise, and there was significant improvements at the fatty liver. And I have published several articles. This is the most recent ones that I published. And what we found, this is a different modality, is effortless exercise, but we found energy increase, stress reduction, decreased cortisol, you see. And we have the visceral fat reduction, BMI, BMR were in the optimal range, fitness, and diabetic improvement. We also found decreased cholesterol and free T3 increase, so it boosts your metabolism basically, and hunger suppression. And the other very interesting thing is that if you destroy the fat, or if you kind of burn the fat, then you don't get the most important thing that is inside the fat that you can only get with exercise and different exercise modalities, and that's the stem cells. You see, the fat has stem cells that become mesenchymal stem cells. And that can actually be coordinated by the brain to repair the liver. So we did another study and we looked at different indices of the liver repair, like ALD, AST, and albumin, and we found significant decreases in the ALD, AST, and ALB, and increase in albumin. Creatinine was, and bilirubin were also in the optimal range, and in ultrasonography we found that there was a fatty liver decrease in about 80% of the population. It was not significant because 20% is not significant, but it was quite, everybody had, the significant was that everybody had an improvement, but only 80% had full repair. BMI, BMR was in a normal range, and this is all our results were significant in all of these variables, very significant. And then we looked at long-term effects. And what we found that after 7 months and only 6 treatments, there was an AST was optimally decreased. That's a study that was done in Kuala Lumpur at the Swiss clinic in Malaysia. And what they also found, they found ALT and when the ALT was higher, it went down to the normal range, and when it was lower, it went up to the normal range. So basically it balanced the hormones. It balanced those, this was the most important thing. The GGT was the same effect. Some people had actually low GGT that was increased to be in the normal range. And the cortisol, same thing. Because if you have low cortisol, you can have Addison's disease, so it's no good. So if you have too high, you're going to have Cushing's disease. So the important thing is the balance. This is what's going to keep you healthy. And T3 was also significantly increased. This is my books that I have written. I've written 3 books that have been translated in 12 languages, and the articles that I have based all of this research of the PowerPoint that you heard today. And with this, I would like to thank you. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at science@iELLIOS.com. Thank you.